Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Discussion Mode. They said I'd never be allowed on this, and yet here I am. I'm Bryan Hayes. You may remember me from such failed projects as basically everything else. Joining me is Mitchell.
You know, we never let you on the actual podcast. It's fine to let you on this. We actually fulfilled that dream.
It's true, but what happened to the main podcast that you guys did? Oh, that's right, it failed without me. And
It
also
failed
joining
with
us...
you.
This is also true. Joining us also the other failed host of that show, and also someone I've been waiting to say this to for like 2 weeks now. Justice League is a shit movie. It's Russell. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about even more scummy things, and that scummy thing is loot boxes.
Oh yeah, we've been talking about them for a bit.
But now it's more interesting, because now it's actually an international news story, not just that they exist, not just that Battlefront 2 is absolutely riddled and ruined by them, but that they're now actually a legal consideration that it might just be straight up illegal gambling.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny the shitstorm that's all started this.
EA went way too far, and they basically got the government involved. That's never a good sign.
Governments of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So does one of you want to talk me through like the lead up to this?
In general, the gist is EA essentially implemented probably the worst pay-to-win loot boxes ever implemented in a game, especially for a paid game. And from that, multiple Disney stepped in, Hawaii stepped in, the government stepped in, Belgium, basically heaps of different countries. Australia even's considering it now to basically make Loot Crate officially gambling. That's the gist.
But see, what I don't understand on this is, like, I also want to see them go away, but when, say, Steam was blatantly running gambling through that CSGO situation where people were bidding on, was it crates for guns?
They
literally sell the guns for money.
They weren't stopping people from doing it. It wasn't official.
Yeah, they weren't supporting it, but they weren't stopping it. But
No.
when that sort of stuff was kicking around, no one was ever questioning the legality. But now that I'm gambling on a thing where I get intangible, worthless video game centric prizes, now it's gambling and it's an issue. Like, I don't understand why this is the trigger point.
This is the usual thing where there's two main reasons why this has become a big deal. One, it was Star Wars, which means it's hit mainstream, so multiple news sites are covering that would never even touch video game content generally. That's brought it into the mainstream eye, so now people are talking about it all over the place. And the other thing is the actual rating of the game and the potential aspect of kids getting into the gambling aspect.
Yeah,
of
that's
course,
the
we
main issue.
got to protect the children, and that's like the main reason why so many of these countries now are considering putting in gambling laws for loot crates because of its impact on children.
It's actually kind of funny that Pokemon has a casino literally in the game, yet there was no problem with that.
Well, yeah, exactly. It was just PG mild gambling references.
Yeah, and you're literally gambling.
Is it real money, though? And the answer is no, in that case, yeah.
No, you're not
But
spending
again,
any money.
Overwatch did the same thing, and it had arguably cutesy, almost child-friendly sort of design style. It's
But
the
once
same
again-
rating, but it never had a problem.
Once again, did it have the Star Wars IP that brought it into mainstream opinions, and also just a huge controversy in general that made people stand out and go, "Oh, what's all this about? Maybe we should look into loot crates and see if they are gambling." Because the problem is, people constantly look at games as a lesser thing of everything. So it's like, it's not as important, so who really cares if there's gambling in there? It doesn't matter. But suddenly, EA screwed up so royally with this Battlefront stuff that people do care about it now. And like, maybe we should look into this and see if it is a big problem. And most people are saying, yeah, it is a problem, and it's not right.
I agree, I want it gone, but like, what do? Do they ban all loot box systems in video games?
And what about games that
don't
already
think
have
so.
them? Do they ban the game straight up? Or do they have to rework it to make it fit the new guidelines, which, as far as I know, need to be standardized across the globe for them to be implemented?
The way I think of it is exactly how ratings work, and that is for ratings, games that, for countries that didn't have the ratings, Australia for a long time, it used to be if a game was R18+, plus, it couldn't come here unless it was heavily modified, so maybe a bit strong depending on the game, but some of them had to be altered a lot, or just period, they just can't come here. Mortal Kombat is the first one that comes to mind. So I suspect it'll be following something of that track record, where it'll be like, you either modify it, take them out, which for an online game, I don't think they'll do. So there's a chance they just won't sell in those countries, or just remove it, period, and just take it out. They have to look at the bottom line. Is it worth not going to that country, or is it worth editing or taking out the loot crates in general?
But like, how do you legislate that? So, okay, you look at the Battlefront one, it's relatively clear. You're opening, what are they, star crates, whatever they want to call them. And you're getting your
Loot
star
crates.
cards.
Well,
loot
it's star
crates and
crates,
you're getting
whatever they
star
are.
cards.
Yeah. It's
Like,
loot crates, but the
okay,
name. Yeah.
That's relatively transparent. You are spending money to acquire them. But, like, if a main game that doesn't let you spend extra money to get the crates, is that still gambling? I put in my $100 to get the game at launch, and then I'm grinding within the game to get it, and it's randomized as to what items I'm getting. Is that no longer gambling because I didn't put money directly into that one time? Like, how do you define this?
I think the psychology is the same in the sense of they're both pushing the same buttons in the sense of a person's like mental ability. Like, oh, I'm getting the same like itch from gambling as I am with real or not real money. The difference is, I guess, with the sense of real money, especially for children who really most of the time it's not their money. Like I can't imagine many kids who have a pocket full of cash, and even then it's probably still their parents' money, unless they're doing child labor. So ultimately, it is someone else's cash. It's someone else's cash that they don't value, and they're essentially just spending it and potentially building in these gambling tendencies at a very young age when your mind's still feeble and like developing, and then potentially down the line now they've got full-on gambling addictions. And also it's the usual thing where it's like people go to societies to prevent these addictions. Like people just look at gambling and loot crates and go, oh yeah, it's not gambling. Like it is. It's predatorily attacking the same sensibilities, and you need to protect people from that who just can't help themselves. Like it's a pure on addiction, and they just can't prevent themselves without external help. And that's where the government needs to step in.
If you follow that logic out, though, and again, I want to see it gone, but if you follow out that logic, so like, I grew up buying Pokemon card booster packs, which by the same definition was gambling.
And now you're a gambling addict.
I still do the same shit playing Magic the Gathering. I get the packs as prizes or whatever, or buy them, and I get randomized stuff out of them. I know a lot of people who play the lotto every week. It still exists in other areas. Like you see those little dispenser machines with the little like ball things, whatever. There's got little toys inside them. You buy kids Kinder Surprises. They've got different randomized toys inside them. At what point is it gambling?
I do think all of them have elements of the same psychology effect on your brain. However, the big difference in all of those situations is they're physical goods. A kid is very unlikely to have just heaps of money lying around that they can go out and buy physical goods in an easy, accessible way. Most of the time it's, can I get this? And their parent is making that ultimate decision for them. In video games, there's almost never that barrier. It's basically just like, oh yeah, my kid's got the access to my account or whatever because they needed to play the PlayStation Plus subscription or the Xbox Live or whatever for the account. And they're just using that on repeat purchase to just buy this on a whim, developing this inherent need to get this content. And it's just, in turn, potentially down the line, creating like a society of gambling addicts through these games.
Or gamblers, which is fine.
Yeah.
This is again the argument though of this is what limited R18 games coming into the country, was the argument of, oh, but the kids will acquire them. If your kid has direct access to your credit card without you clearing what they're spending money on and can pour that into something stupid like loot boxes, is that the game's fault or is that poor parenting?
It's the game's fault for offering it, but it's also the parents' fault for being like, well, they're fine with that money. They'll use it responsibly. Kids don't. Kids don't think like that. It's such a silly thing. But again, like, if you give them access to it, they won't use it. But kids don't have access to money. They know that gets them money. They're going to use it.
But again, this is also an M-rated game, so legally speaking, it's expected the child or above playing it is 15 plus, at which age they can be working. So we're not really talking about a 7 or an 8-year-old here that doesn't quite understand the meaning of currency.
Well, to say 7 or 8-year-olds and like even 12-year-olds aren't playing Overwatch is false, because they are. Just like,
no, that's true.
Mean really.
I was actually going to say
most kids can have access to it regardless.
I didn't really want to get into ratings, but in general, there's a very big discrepancy between M and MA to parents' eyes. They don't look at the games the exact same way. There's a very big distinction between M, my kid's fine for that, it's not that bad, to MA, where it's like, I don't think my kid should be playing that game. And I really do think if they implement a law for gambling, it will push everything that's currently in M to MA with the gambling like on the top. So it's like, it has got gambling on it, and then I guess the parents actively know what it's about. That's what the rating was all about. It was, we need to have an R18 plus so parents understand what their child is potentially playing that is currently being targeted as MA15 when really it should be R18 plus. That's the whole point, and that's what it needs here. It needs to have a clear gambling definition on the box so parents know exactly what the game is from the get-go and protect them from any potential predatory nature EA's putting into these games.
Yeah,
it's not just EA, but
I'd say that would help. But there are kids who have Grand Theft Auto 5 whose parents will buy them that, who think
I'm just not sold
just because. they don't think of it. It's like, oh, it's just a game. They don't really do anything. It's just, but
it's one of those things where you can only do so much, Mitch. If a parent
I
wants to
know,
let a child to play MA, you let them play MA. Like I watched MA rated films when I was really young. It's just
they're going to do it anyway, regardless of what you do. They're going to have access to this. It's like whether you make the systems more like they check to see who's actually doing it. They put in more, like maybe you set up some security thing when you do it and goes to your phone or whatever, just to try and make it.
Initially, the Rovers thing is it needs to be identified as gambling. Because at the moment, it's just considered something. It's just like, there's just this loot crate thing existing in the world, and no one's defining it, no one's really caring about it, and this EA push is made people suddenly decide, we need to define what the hell it is so we can start actioning some kind of legality on it, and it's not just free reign for all these corporate business suits to do whatever the hell they want to just freaking attack people and take all their money because they have no self-control, or just ruining the entire game system to begin with, as they did with EA Battlefront, ruining fundamentally every mechanic that game could possibly have as a competitive multiplayer. So
I'd say
it needs that too.
What we do know is the ESRB, America's equivalent of what we have, literally said they don't consider loot boxes gambling. So it takes that organization and the other organizations to actually all agree to fix it. I mean, the Battlefront's really going to push that, and whether anything happens or not remains to be seen. But I don't know what they really can do or what will happen, because if you start saying that's gambling, a lot of other things are then gambling as well.
If I can just put on my EA corporate member hat for a moment.
Andrew Wilson has joined us.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, gentlemen. Why am I putting loot boxes into a game? Because it's going to make me a substantially larger amount of money than a game without loot boxes. We know that. Who is spending... Well, yeah, and microtransaction. Who is spending the money for that? I wager, and I don't have like a pie chart or something on me, I wager that the vast majority of income from that is from people mid-20s, early 30s with large disposable income. It's not children. It's us.
Yeah, but I see the problems about it. Like, they'll probably... I just imagine like the legislators and that going after, well, kids can now gamble, is what they're going to probably go for.
That's fine. Do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, regardless of
you have to have an angle, and if your angle is adults have their own ability to stop themselves from doing stuff. If they have an addiction problem, then they need to sort it out themselves externally. That's their bad. We're corporate suits. We don't really care. But if you go kids who don't have that self-control and don't have the definition of right or wrong and that kind of stuff going on, we can easily or potentially get it to decisions in governments and actually get something done. So that's the main reason why you have to target it that way. And it's the way it's always been. It's the only way that makes sense. Otherwise, as you said, people go, adults can just work it out themselves. What's the deal? Like, it's not that big deal. And then gamers just keep getting screwed over again and again and again. So
yeah, but that's fine. Like, you do it, you get it into law. It's brilliant. I would support that. You stop kids and people and like younger people from being exposed to that. Brilliant. Gambling's not good. Understood. It will still be in games, though.
Microtransactions will not always be in games from now onward.
No, loot boxes would still be there because they just go, oh, we can't put it in an M-rated game. That's fine. A vast majority of the games that have these systems aren't M anyway. They wouldn't care. It wouldn't
two of the biggest ones that would reduce them. M-rated.
Yeah, I agree with this completely.
And Overwatch. Yeah,
they're both rated M.
But my point is, it wouldn't remove it from the industry in the slightest. It would remove it from a couple of symptom locations. It wouldn't remove the idea.
Or they would pivot it in a way that comes under a way that it doesn't count. So maybe we go back to the card system, which has been there, which no one complained that was gambling because it was just they related to cards.
Because cards
exactly. So my point is that you can go down this road, and I would support it, and it's probably a worthwhile crusade anyway. But it doesn't actually remove it from the industry. If you want to remove something from this industry, you need more of a consumer backlash, and the consumer backlash seems to have faded away to a legal argument, whereas what it really needed to be was everyone going, you know what, we actually will not buy this stuff anymore.
I don't know how that works because there's so many people, there's such a big audience who won't see any of this and just buy it anyway, which works
exactly because they don't actually mind. There's the thing, they don't actually mind.
Well, you just look at the mobile game market. Like, they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, I think...
Exactly, and we all buy into it.
I said it really depends on, I think, what the IP is and what they're doing with it. So, I think Star Wars... The problem with that was because it was such significant IP, and Disney in particular owns it, not EA, Disney ultimately were the ones who stopped EA and took away the microtransactions for the time being. We'll see what it comes to in the future. But they were the ones who basically stopped this because they're like, this may or may not be screwing up movie IP at the moment. So let's just put this on the back burner, and then EA will probably make slight changes and re-implement it in January after the movie has come out and there's no concern over it affecting sales there. And ultimately, I guess that's how people are going to kind of step around it. But ultimately, the point is people need to get it. This matters so much because people made a difference. And making a difference is important because it tells people, okay, if we don't support this, then people can make a change. If you just go, Battlefront's the biggest thing ever, it's EA, if we just keep buying it, they'll just keep doing the same thing regardless of what happens, so it'll happen forever. Where, in this case, people didn't buy it, people spoke up about it, it was the worst Reddit post downvoting ever, or whatever it was. It was a big deal, and I think that trend can continue. So I expect that the next game that implements microtransactions will be modified. As you said, they'll probably always exist in some form because they make so much money, but no one will step in like EA did. No one will make it as big as that. I think they'll always make it at least more minimalistic in its implementation, but at the same time, it'll be something. Like, loot crates are here to stay because it makes too much money. That's just the button.
And that's my argument. Vote with your wallet by not buying into them, and then they go away. And I think that the like redefining what gambling means, great, but don't expect that to solve the problem. It's a separate thing. Like, that's a different tangent that has to be taken. If people go, but like now this is happening, it's all going to go away. No, you have to actually vote with your wallet, to use a shitty
once again,
political
it's not a sprint. Like, you have to jump over these hurdles to get to the final point that people actually want. And the fact that people are doing something at all is already a good thing, as opposed to, it's just the way it is now, deal with it. People did vote with their wallets this time, and it did make a big difference.
Until people stop caring. But I guess the question is, are loot boxes gambling?
Yes.
And I don't think they are.
I think everything I just said in this podcast, I believe they are, in every way. They apply the exact same methods gambling do. They make it attractive. People win, other people don't win. Just look what Activision's patenting right now. There's no way you can't say those patents aren't gambling through to the heart. They're just everything gamblers already do. They apply the exact same methodology. It's basically, some people are going to win, and you think you're going to win too, so you're going to keep trying until you do win. It's exactly the same thing. It's just hidden.
But you don't win money in the end. Like, this is why I think needs more discussion, not from us, from like law. Is like, at what point is it gambling? All right, I roll 3 dice, I win if I get the higher number. Gambling? No. Now I roll 3 dice and then I get the better toy. Is that gambling? Maybe. That's what a loot box is. Now I roll 3 dice, if I get the higher number, I get your money. Yeah, that's gambling. But like, it's just shades of grey up until direct money is involved. Like a claw machine where you put in $2 and might get a toy out. Is that gambling or is that a game? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
roulette, definitely gambling.
Down the line to see what is and what isn't, see if this definition change actually affects anything else as well.
And that's my fear. If they just go like hard and fast, like, nah, everything with chance is gambling. It's like, right, well, the world's going to get very boring.
Yeah, and once again, it is purely game focused. So it's not like suddenly you're going to redefine gambling on a big term. It is classifying loot crates because they do not have a classification right now, and by far the closest definition is gambling. There's no question that is the closest term we can have to what it is without making
dip.
up.
Yeah, it's a lucky dip. It's a lucky dip gambling. Again, like I think just going it is gambling like hard and fast is a dangerous assertion to make.
Lucky dip is very different because you're just winning a good, I guess, randomly. Where this is potentially modifying a game's experience entirely based off its like purchasable random aspect.
So I guess now we're moving to
not all of them.
With Overwatch, a lucky dip gambling, or is it gambling?
Yeah, Overwatch is lucky dip because I don't actually affect my gameplay in the slightest.
Gameplay, and I think we'll see that go away. We'll see the Battlefront side of things probably die off because of this, and because of the backlash, no one wants it. And I think what we're going to see is Overwatch's system sticking around as cosmetics, and because people don't think of that as like, well, we're paying for an advantage, which makes them more like gambling.
Yeah, it's one of those things where people don't think of it as in a worse light because it's lucky dip, I guess, is the way we're defining it right here. It's a lucky dip aspect as opposed to the entire game system based around this microtransactions loot crate fiasco. So it's very different in that respect, just how much impact it has, where a pay to win, I guess, is the biggest way people are putting the words out there. But I think it's a strong aspect that it needs to be classified properly, and it needs to be honed in a law governmental sense, so people can actually focus on it in a specific way, as opposed to just going, these games can go half a level and whatever the hell they want to do.
So I think we're at kind of a consensus. Leave the Overwatch style system around. Nuke the Battlefront system from orbit.
I mean, kill all of them, but I'm okay with
it's all cash grab just through and through. But unfortunately, corporate people are corporate people. You can't stop them if they've got a fiduciary duty to uphold their stakeholders, and unfortunately, that's what they have to do. So there's no real other option. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I prefer Overwatch than Battlefront. Let's put it that way.
They were never distributing the game anyway just so you were happy. It was always for money.
It's all about happiness.
I think people forget that. Now, on the show that we used to do, where we didn't record it because you didn't want to show my ugly face on television.
It's at least half blocked, so it's fine.
Oh, okay, good.
Mitch in post just put like a random image over you.
Anything's better. No.
We used to play a game. So, because we've been talking about loot boxes, I decided to make a bit of a game out of loot boxes. So, gentlemen, because, like we were discussing, I support the Overwatch-style system where it's not pay to win. So, what I'm going to do is very simple. You've both got one optional dollar, right? You can use that to buy a loot box, right? Premium loot boxes. Or you can just get one of the free ones, because I'm a good person, alright? Super simple. So, one of you go first, you'll open your loot box, we'll have a little animation, then you'll get your question. First person to get 3 questions right wins. Super simple.
Okay, he goes first.
Cash in your money at any time, it's totally fine, because it's not pay to win.
If we get the question right, do we make more money?
Sure.
That's gambling.
Yeah.
Now we're encouraging it.
Mitch, go first. Would you like a regular loot box, or would you like to cash in some money?
Since I'm a poor peasant, I'm going to get the free one.
Poor peasant? Alright, Mitch, you've selected a regular question from your loot box, and your question is, which sold more? E.T. on the Atari 2600 or Space Invaders?
On the 2600. That's a good one. I'm going to go with E.T.
100% was E.T. Despite being thrown into the landfill due to overproduction,
well,
it's
that's
still
why it's thrown
into
the
Space
landfill.
Invaders.
Yeah, people just assumed it.
No, this was sales.
Yeah,
this was sales, not cartridges made.
They made a lot of them, but yeah, they still
Oh, yeah,
sold more
because
than Space
stores
Invaders.
picked them up because like E.T. That's going to sell.
No, I'm talking sales to consumers. It's just they overproduced it that much.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm agreeing.
Yeah. All right, Mitch currently has 2 completely balanced dollars. Russell, would you like to cash in or use your completely legit free loot box?
All in, baby. Straight to the premium loot crest.
Put in the premium? All right, let's do it. All right, Russell, this is your completely legit, not at all difficult premium question. In the original games, how many Pokemon were there?
Oh god, that's like the worst question for me you possibly could. Mitch is like laughing right now.
Most people our age can answer that instantaneously.
Well, I know this is over. So in the original series, is that right?
Yeah, the original games, original cartridges. This was meant to be like, all right. Apparently, this is not a pay-to-win system.
It would be for me.
No, it is because Mitch is seeing it and he's feeling so good about himself. It's like Mitch is like, well, I'm going in premium next time. So
he got
120.
Oh.
Whoa. 151,
what?
Russell.
Okay.
Jeez.
Are you even from the 90s?
Did you grow up in the 90s? Whoa, my camera.
Let's put this way. I didn't like Pokemon, period. So it's not a series
you were
I enjoy.
alive.
Yeah. Why would I know the exact number of Pokemon in that series?
Everyone knows the 151. My god.
How many
Bryan,
continents
I'm
are
cashing in
there?
money. Let's go premium. That's the kind of
go premium.
question. I wish I got that one.
Next one will be like some DC question.
Some
God
Russell specific question.
Mitchell, you've gone premium. Your question is, how many main series, not expansions, not add-ons, not spin-offs, none of that crap, how many main series Age of Empires games are there?
Age of Empires, so not Age of Mythology or whatever.
Yeah, none of the spin-offs, just things that were Age of Empires and a number. Yeah, boom.
Yeah,
Totally legit question, not at all pay to win. Mitchell's only got one more to win.
Both those right.
Russell, this is your last chance. You have no money. You got no solutions.
Unfortunately, I'm poor, so I have to go with the free loot crate option.
Free loot crate option? Alright. Russell, which UK celebrity's voice occasionally appears in Halo 3, voicing a Marine?
I'm pretty sure it's Nathan Fillion.
He's not from the UK. You want to try again?
Oh, I didn't hear you say UK. I don't know
TV
any other
show
voice
host.
actors in that series that popped up at some point.
It's Jonathan Ross.
Oh, really?
Huh,
Yeah,
I didn't
straight
know
up.
that either.
He has like one voice line. It's amazing.
Interesting. I
Alright.
no idea.
Mitch, would you like to use your premium loot crate?
I already used my premium loot crate.
Yeah, and then
But
you
you
got
got-
the
you got
question
more
right,
cash,
so you got
yeah.
another dollar.
Ah, yeah, sure. Let's go premium.
Premium? All right, Mitch, let's roll this dice. I mean, totally not, because it's not gambling.
No. All on red.
Mitch, you have unlocked a free, totally legit bonus point, meaning you win the game, but it wasn't pay to win.
Ah, no, it wasn't.
Oh, great.
Ah, that's nice.
And you see, ladies and gentlemen, that is how you build a completely stable, completely justified trivia system using the delight of loot boxes.
Oh, bro,
Thank
I was
you
about
very
to,
much.
I was about to mortgage my house so I could get more loot crates. That's what I thought was going to happen here.
I already have.
Well, it's
Because
a
I
bit
was
late.
just winning so many, I need to get
Yeah.
more.
I was on the edge, Brian. I was going to spend it all, damn it.
Anyway, I don't know if I've proved a point there or negated my original point. I'm not quite sure what I've done. But thank you guys for letting me come on here. I think I'm going to wrap this up now unless anyone has an objection to it.
Wrap it up.
Objection. No, it's fine.
This has
Objection.
been a discussion mode. We've 100% solved the entire loot box situation. All you have to do is have a mass movement of people and also control the entire law system. So I've been Bryan. Thank you for joining me, Mitch and Russell, and we'll see you sometime soon.
It's a lucky dick.